Josh, my man, my eldest brother, I really appreciate you taking the time to interview with me. I'm going to ask you a series of questions about my strengths, abilities, key attributes, and emotional skills. I've already written down the 5 that I feel like are my top skills, strengths, you name it. And just want to get your open, honest, transparent, succinct feedback about those skills and kind of take a deep dive into the way that you see my advantage relative to others in my skills, the way that you perceive that I've amassed a knowledge base that differentiates myself and makes me valuable relative to other people, and then also just the things that are unique about various bits of me, like my emotions, the way I manage my emotions, my abilities, and then some of my more learned skills. So, but the first question I have is, what do you think is truly unique and valuable about my knowledge?
It's broad. It's I mean, you have a unique body of knowledge, which is not in itself unique. Everybody has a unique body of knowledge.
Right.
But yours is extremely well suited for business, for one thing. And you have a lot of insight into people that comes in part as part of that body of knowledge and from that body of knowledge. And then that has a lot to do with how you do business and how you understand business and how you understand how to do business. It's good.
It's a great point. So, what would you say is truly valuable and unique about my abilities? So that would more be like my natural abilities.
In business or just in general?
Overall, man. This is totally overall.
Okay. The first thing that leapt to mind, which is not necessarily the biggest thing, is that you're an extremely hard worker. You care about people. You're extremely perceptive. You have an excellent intuition, but you work to verify what you intuit. And you're an excellent verifier. And you have like an intuitive ability and understanding with math that is rare for sure. And you're such a go-getter. You've always been a go-getter from when you wanted to be a pro ball player when you were like 6, you know?
Yeah.
And you were voracious then and intense then, and you're voracious now with business and with your love and desire to do what's right and to please your God and to be good to your family and to others.
It's an amazing response, man. I really appreciate that. So, what is unique and valuable about my learned skills?
So, one thing that's unique and valuable about them is the way that you learn them. A lot of them you taught yourself. So you taught yourself a lot of high-level math that most people don't teach themselves, even if they learn it.
Right.
So your actuary math, what was it, Calc 1 or it was Calc 2 that you taught yourself, right?
Yeah. And some of Calc 3.
And some of Calc 3. So
multivariate statistics. So
in those teachings of yourself, I think part of what you learned was how to teach yourself.
Wow.
And that's awesome. And then you've learned on the ball field too, and on the sports field. Like you've learned about human psychology through sports psychology.
Yeah, that's true.
And you've learned what it takes to win and cultivated a drive to get there and cultivated an understanding of how to get there. So, yeah, you're learning what's unique about your learning. Is that the question? Your learned skills?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've learned how to win. You've learned how to improve. You've learned how to interact with people and how to be a team player and how to beat other teams. You've learned how to study extremely efficiently and quickly not just in math, but in assimilating knowledge. And part of that has been having to do intense learning on the job, and part of that is very quickly moving into a very quickly growing family.
Right.
So you've learned how to learn efficiently and very quickly. You've learned immense people skills and immense math skills. And you have voraciously studied investment, and brought all your formidable learning skills into learning about investment, not to mention into learning about your jobs that you've had.
Right.
I think that's all I got there.
That's great. So now, what do you think is unique and valuable about my emotions, or the way I approach emotions?
You really care. Things really matter to you, and people really matter to you. And I'd say that's the number one.
Okay, so now if you had to boil it down into my top 5 greatest skills, attributes, way of approaching people or emotion, what would you say those are? The top 5, if you had to put them in a really concise fashion.
Okay, so one is emotional intelligence, one is logic, one is power of assimilation, one is power of completion or follow through, and one is care for people.
Killer, man. That was a killer answer.
Thanks.
You have such a powerful mind. Okay, so the 5 that I said, I want to tell you those now.
Yeah.
I said that my most glaring abilities are in analytical skills.
Okay.
Whether it be mathematics, finance, business, economics,
yeah, those are
you
glaring.
name it.
Yeah.
The second was exactly what I think you said, second or third, was intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And that has to do with emotional intelligence and understanding what's motivating people, what's motivating me, what's actually going on, reading something and penetrating the veil, picking out the underlying principles, what the really impactful items, takeaways, concepts are at play. And then just with data, whether any kind of data, whether it's on paper, whether it's audibly heard, or whether it's numbers or unstructured data, like a comment or an article or a book, being able to jump to the conclusion of what's being said, being able to jump to the conclusion, the bottom line of what's being presented, and understanding that intuitively. The third thing I put was it's basically what you said about learning efficiently, and assimilating learning. I didn't put it that way, but that's essentially what it was. And my comment on to that end was that it totally has a compounding effect with my analytical skills and my intuition.
Yes, it does.
Because
trifecta.
Right. So then the fourth thing I said was what you said first, and that is that for a decade now I've been grinding. And you said since I was 5, I see ways that I have been since I was 3 and 4 and 5. But ultimately I think that the most output that I've created has definitely come in the last 10 years or so.
Absolutely.
The fifth thing I put was just one sentence long, and it has to do with what you said. You called it follow through. You called it having a unique set of knowledge and skills combined with motivation, drive, and a killer work ethic. What I called it was, I don't flunk under pressure, I flourish. So now I'm wondering if out of any of those 5 things that I've talked about, you want to specifically comment on elements that you feel like maybe you didn't touch on that tie in to what you said, or if you feel like any of those should kind of replace any of the 5 that you said.
Okay. So analysis, like, I thought of it, and I guess part of why I didn't bring it up is because it's so glaringly obvious. And it has to do, it informs a lot of, if not all of the other ones, you know?
Right, yeah.
So you are a baller of an analyzer. I can't think of anyone right now. I mean, yeah, your powers of analysis are superb. And so I think that's definitely worth being on the list. Even though, so I guess I didn't put it because I don't think that's the most valuable thing about you.
Right.
But it is one of
It
your
is the most
great strengths.
obvious, maybe, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the other things are more valuable in terms of seeing you holistically as a person.
I agree with that.
But your powers of analysis are excellent and even can be formidable. They're extremely strong. And I think that's all I'll say about that right now.
Awesome. Well, Josh, I love you, man. I really appreciate your insight, your open, honest feedback, and can't thank you enough for the kind words as well. They're going to be indelible in my mind probably, at least as long as I'm still all there mentally and not senile. Hopefully that doesn't happen to me, but I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me, to love on me, to be totally transparent and authentic, and love you, man. Appreciate it.
I love you so much. It's my joy.